Season 2 of the Pitt, Episode 1, has kicked off with fireworks from Homeo Rectus Man, dirtier than Oscar in his grouch trash can, getting a bath, to Robbie needing to go on sabbatical, to Canada, to Robbie versus Dr. Allie, to we've got a religious theme going on, ladies and gentlemen, and I think I know how that will tie into the rest of the season. If you're new here, my name is Lamont Tyson. Please subscribe. This is one of the best medical shows on all of TV. It is the Emmy Award-winning Pitt, and we're doing Season 2. We start off with Robbie riding into work on a sweet-ass, I think that was an Indian motorcycle, as usual, coming into an ER that is out of control. It is the 4th of July. We're kicking back up a couple of months later from where everything went off. We've got 15 hours, ladies and gentlemen, of pure hell coming, and Robbie is about to be replaced because tomorrow he's leaving. And we get a chance to meet first patient is Margaret. And her issue, ladies and gentlemen, she doesn't want to die a damn sinner. She's a hypochondriac. And so how do they remedy her in her hypochondriacism? They give her a B12 shot. And that keeps her thinking that she will go to heaven sinless. Then they bring in Dr. Al Shimi. They call her Dr. Al for short. That's what we're going to call her. She's going to be the new attending. And she's divorced, got a kid. She likes to do things by the book. She likes to set in her own protocols. Hell, she likes to make up pamphlets that you give to the patients. Her and Robbie meet. She asks Robbie, did you read the bio about me and the way I like to do things? And Robbie's he's checked out, ladies and gentlemen. He ain't thinking about her damn pamphlet. He said he's going to get to it, but we know deep down on the inside, he's not going to get to it. And then we learned that Mel and Dr. Sexy Samara, they have worked with Dr. Allie in the past, and Dr. Allie is coming from a VA unit. And then this next patient that they go to that's having a heart issue, and we get Dr. Garcia, a good look at her fine butt too. We learned that one of the head buddies that they're going to have is Robbie is an experienced, grizzled ER doctor versus someone who's coming from the VA. Of course, all doctors get a little bit of training on everything, but then they tend to specialize. And so he's trying to tell Dr. Allie, look, this is how we do things. She's got the way she wants to do things. But ladies and gentlemen, as long as you get to the outcome that they got to, which was they saved this guy, doesn't matter about the outcome. If your outcome can be the best one that brings together team morale, go with that one. And I just think that Dr. Allie is someone I don't really trust, and I wonder how she's going to gel with the rest of the team. And then old Dr. Langdon comes back, ladies and gentlemen. He returns. He's looking a little discombobulated because I'm sure he's thinking, everybody's thinking I'm a drug addict, which you are. But he's going to rehab, and he goes in there to his locker, and they done kicked his ass out to the bottom locker. He opens that locker. It's got rotten food in there that looks like what would have been at the bottom of Oscar the Grouch's trash can. Our charge nurse is back, the one that took the punch in the face last year and basically was going to retire, but she's back because it's the 4th of July. And as I've said in the past, ladies and gentlemen, when you go to hospitals, ERs, and you have issues, you don't always run to the doctor. Most of the time you run to the most experienced nurse. And that's what we have right here with Dana. And she has a student that's working with her named Emma, who looks a little timid. You know they're going to get Emma in some trouble. She had to give Homeo Rectus Man a bath this episode. And let's just be happy that Homeo Rectus Man, all they really wanted was the bath, because that could have freaked her out and she could have ran away forever, but she didn't. Robbie and Langdon finally have their meetup, and Robbie tells him, look, man, you're doing triage. Period. You got to work your way back into my good graces. And Langdon is really trying to have a conversation with Robbie, and Robbie ain't trying to hear none of it. Matter of fact, Robbie winds up putting Dr. Mel on his cases, and Langdon is not really feeling this, but He's got to work back up, ladies and gentlemen. He's got to get the trust earned back, and he should be happy that he is not in jail. Then we see my girl, Dr. Javati, another little hottie doctor, who I think is probably going to quit medicine and become a social media person. We see her talking to Santos, and as Santos is talking, her mom pops up. Now, if you don't know, if you're just following this from this season, you didn't catch season 1, her mom is like a big shot doctor in this hospital. Her dream was for her daughter to be in medicine. She thinks that her daughter is the best doctor, best student coming up on the planet. And I don't really see Dr. Javati's heart in this thing. I really don't. And Dr. Javati's mom wants to have a conversation with Robbie. And no doubt that conversation is she wants her to be challenged a little more. And as you see, Robbie's like, I get up with you when I'm on vacation. So, folks, that's going to be another bumping of the heads. Dr. Javati was supposed to meet her mom for a dinner, a luncheon, maybe meeting at Pizza Hut. I don't know. But it didn't work out, and that is tension going on in that household. Dr. Allie is really trying to assert herself within hour number 1. She wants to change the name of this place from the Pitt to something else. And she's going over this with Robbie. And Robbie's kind of like, it's been the Pitt. We've saved tons of lives with it named the Pitt. But Allie's point is, we name it something else. Maybe we can change the morale of the people here. Maybe we can change the morale of the patients. And what would she change the name to, folks? What you think? The upper room, stairway to heaven, the upper deck. What is she going to change the name to? I don't know. We know it's not going to change from the Pit, but I can kind of understand what she's saying, but I get what Robbie's saying too. We've saved plenty of people with it being the Pit. People are used to it being the Pit. And sometimes you can take something that might sound like it has a negative connotation and turn it good if you make it about good and you do good work, which is what I think Robbie's feeling with the Pit. And then, folks, oh Lord, we got another religious person up in this piece. We got Sister Grace. And her eye has conjunctivitis, and her eye looks like it is a daffodil planted on somebody's face, ladies and gentlemen. If she winked, you're going to see sunflower seeds. Oh, my God. And in keeping with this religious theme, ladies and gentlemen, she's talking to Dr. Javati about her religion and her one God. And she's asking Dr. Javati, do you believe in my God, basically? And Dr. Javati's like, no. In my background, we have 30 different deities. Your God is not the only God. And Sister Grace said, well, my God is the only God. In other words, my God is the real God. Your God is not the real gods or gods. Folks, if you want to know where I think we're going with all this religious talk, Dr. Mel, we're going to get ready to talk about her in a minute. And you guys saw in this episode, she's in a lawsuit. Her lawsuit is with that family we saw at the very end of the last season, where the male in the family went behind the mama's back and told them to get that spinal tap. That's what the guy told them. And they lost that patient. That mama was a bitch. You remember the mama tried to transfer the kid to a rich people's hospital. And it was all about religion. It was kind of the intersection where, okay, your religion says this, but science says this. And that's the group of people coming after Mel. And I think that's why we're seeing a bunch of these religious-based patients to get us prepared for what's going to be going on in court if Mel has to go to court. And then we go back to the waiting room, ladies and gentlemen. And if you blinked or looked away and you heard the sound go down on your TV, folks, it wasn't the sound going down. They zeroed in on a lady who was deaf. She couldn't hear. And then they went back to this lady a couple of times in the episode. I can't predictably say this, but for those of you that follow me from other TV shows, you know how well I get these predictions right. I think that this lady has something to do with that baby being in the bathroom. Post your comments and let me know what you think. And then we got my man Louie, who came in for a tooth issue. He's a regular at this hospital. because his liver is failing because the man won't stop drinking. Dude got psoriasis of the liver all over his liver. You was to cut him open and take a look at his liver, you see nothing but eights all over, the number 8 all over his damn liver. That's what it looked like. The important thing with this conversation with him and Dr. Langdon, Langdon actually came clean to this man and told him he was stealing his drugs because he had an addiction. And I know some of you guys was like, oh man, this dude is going to throw him under the bus. And in the end, he didn't. But folks, I just think that is TV deception. Louis is cool with it right now, but Louis has been a mainstay in this hospital. Louis seems like the type that's understanding. He understands Robbie. He wants him to have, Dr. Langdon wants him to have a second chance. But folks, I believe this is going to come back to bite Langdon, and Louis is going to be a part of it. If Louis kicks the bucket and they start investigating things that happen with Louis and this hospital, considering the hospital's already having one of their students sued in Dr. Mail, I think they might drag Langdon into this, ladies and gentlemen. Post your comments and let me know what you think. But for right now, I'm liking the relationship between Langdon and Louis, and I hope Louis can get this alcohol thing fixed so that his belly can be relieved permanently and not just sliced open to drain it as if we draining the pool because it's wintertime. And then we get, ladies and gentlemen, we find a damn baby. Lord have mercy. Folks, we find a baby in the bathroom. And that baby, I believe, has something to do with the lady who's deaf. Post your comments, let me know what you think. And then we got my man, Country Whitaker. Wait for him, Whitaker, that had to save the hospital from rats last season. He's teaching these new students on how things go when someone dies in the hospital. And you have these two new students. You've got one student who is this cocky male who just seems like he thinks he's God's gift to medicine. Strict nerd, kind of awkward personality, as told by the lady med student, who seems like she's so loosey-goosey, you might catch her in Mardi Gras taking the top off if you get her sold on that goose. Got you feeling loose. But Whitaker's letting her know that when people die here, we take a moment to pay our respects. And as someone who's a respiratory therapist, ladies and gentlemen, back in my prior years before YouTube and stocks and real estate, I worked in rural hospitals, and sometimes we would do that for people we knew too. We would take a moment to pay our condolences to people. We didn't do it for everybody, but this does happen in the hospital, which is why I think this is such a great show. Then we get to my girl, Dr. Mail. For those of you that didn't know, it's Bryan Cranston's daughter. Bryan Cranston is a guy that I love. I've loved him in just about everything he did. The one show I didn't like he did, y'all gonna hate me for this, Breaking Bad. I've only seen 2 episodes of that show. But here is when we learn through the conversation with Santos, Dr. Mail is being sued. And Santos, who's cool as a cucumber in a refrigerator, is basically like, girl, that's what they got insurance for. Don't you worry about this. We're going to be good. And folks, can't you just see Bryan Cranston's DNA in Dr. Mail? Shout out to all my Bryan Cranston fans. Phenomenal actor. Glad that he's got ties with his daughter, doing a great job. And she, in my opinion, is the heart and soul of this whole show. The one that you think of that has a conscience for everybody in this hospital. And right now, she's nervous as a train wreck because she's being sued. And Dr. Santos is letting her know, hey, don't sweat that. We get sued all the time. That's what they got this insurance for, that keeps us safe. But that didn't really help Dr. Mail feel better, because later on, nurse passes Dr. Mail and catches Dr. Mail talking to herself. I mean, Mail is really sweating bullets on this thing, and I wonder how it'll play out later on as we go. Then we get to Dr. Santos dealing with the little girl that, folks, clearly has been abused by her dad. How many of y'all believe that the girlfriend know about this? Post your comments, let me know. And dare I say, based on the exam, that the daddy has graped her, take away the G, and you guys know what I mean. And stuff like that bothers me because I have 2 young children. I just waited till I was in my 40s to start having them. One of them happens to be a girl. And you look at these kids and you wonder to yourself, how could you do this to these human beings? A human being that you helped create. How could you do this? And this girl looked messed up, ladies and gentlemen. I mean, blotches on her back, her wrist. The worst thing's worse, her tooth basically stuck in the bottom of her chin. I mean, Dad has really done a number on this girl, and they're saying that this is coming from her sports injuries. I think what would be a crazy twist is if it's not Dad doing this, it's the girlfriend doing it. I don't think there's any way that would work out, but they seem like they're making it obvious that this is probably the dad, which means it's probably not going to be the dad. Dr. Samara is in here with another woman who I think has some ties to religion based on her son calling Dr. Samara a nurse, and Dr. Samara, Sexy Samara that is, had to check his ass. I'm not a nurse, I'm a doctor. Oftentimes people, just because of the patriarch in America and the history of nurses, people do tend to associate women in the medical field as being nurses. But we need to update our resume and our thinking, because nowadays there are more women graduating med schools than there are men. So in today's society, you're going to be more likely to see women as doctors than you are men. And I think that was just a highlight into this particular patient's lifestyle, because her son made that comment. He left the room. And then we learned something funny as hell, that this woman has been eating 12 marijuana cookies a day. I mean, Lord, she's inhaling them the way people in France inhale fruitcakes, ladies and gentlemen. And Dr. Sexy Samara is letting her know, look, there are studies that say that when older people ingest a lot of weed, it can cause dementia. And so the question here is, do y'all think that this woman is going to stop eating her marijuana cookies? And what makes it so funny is she doesn't look like the typical old person that would be eating marijuana cookies. First of all, I don't see a lot of old people dealing with weed anyway. Secondly, an older white woman who looks like she comes from the country eating marijuana cookies and actually admitting it, it's pretty funny. Then we go to Dr. Mel, who is sewing up this young man, and come to find out this young man has got the hots for Dr. Mel. He asked her, does she drink coffee? That didn't get her to stop doing her job. Then he says, what about boba tea? And man, did she light up like a Christmas tree and smile at him. Do y'all think that they're going to let Dr. Mel have somebody get in her panty drawers this season and it be this dude? Now, technically, you know, if you're somebody's doctor, you're not supposed to have a working relationship with a patient. But Dr. Mel seems like she's preoccupied this season, and she might get down with the get down, ladies and gentlemen, if you get down with what I'm saying. We go back to patient Mr. Williams, who has a broken wrist. His kneecaps is messed up. And I think that this man has split personality. He's forgetting something. Now, he's got some kind of head trauma, and I think that might have rattled a few screws loose. But what I also think might happen with this guy, ladies and gentlemen, he might be the next person to go and punch somebody in the face on this show. Post your comments and let me know what you think. And then, folks, they ended us on a major cliffhanger. Dr. Allie, the new attending, is staring at this baby as if she has lost her own baby. She's staring in a trance as if something that's going on with this baby has sparked something inside of her. What could it be? What is this cliffhanger? Did somebody leave her in a hospital as a child? Did one of those ex-husbands take one of her babies and do something similar? What is it that she has seen in the VA hospital or in her life? Or could this be something personal that has caused her to stare at this baby deep in a trance where people are calling her name loudly? Well, folks, that's going to do it for this video. Good way to start off the season. Cliffhanger, tension between the attendings. Dr. Langdon is back. A lot is going on. It's the 4th of July weekend, and this is just hour number 1 for the season. Post your comments. Don't forget to like the video, comment, subscribe.